Inside the final 150 yards, this is a special year, and it's a Hattons full of grace. And it's Energumene opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2 mile novices. Energumene by.
Boylesports has it all. Money back meetings every day. UK and Irish racing live streaming. Extra places and money back all losers offers. And a bet 10 get 40 welcome offer. Boylesports, this is betting.
So, hello and welcome back to the Champ.ie podcast, the Boylesports Irish Grand National Ronan Groome. We're going to look ahead to the National itself and 5 races on the Monday card at Fairyhouse. Some prizes to dish out next week from our Cheltenham videos that we will make sure to announce ahead of entry next week, but it's all systems go Irish National and some other big races to look forward to. Lots of grade twos, so we'll be going through the card of Fairyhouse Monday.
Very much so. One of the big days of the Irish racing calendar, obviously the Boylesports Irish Grand National. Tricky enough card now, we're found it down the years, but as you said yourself, there's a bit of quality there with the grade twos. We were a bit close to Cheltenham, I suppose. We saw with Allegory Devassi yesterday that can take its toll on runners, so that's what the kind of the puzzle punters have to kind of weigh up, I guess. But we'll do our best.
Let's kick into Fairyhouse card on Monday, the 240 at Fairyhouse. This is for the juveniles, Mr. Groome. 2 miles the trip. The ground's officially been called yielding ground on the hurdles track, soft ground as we're recording, soft ground on the chase track. I'd imagine it's going to be a lot softer than yielding. We're scheduled more rain. Blood Destiny heads the betting with Boylesports at 11-8. But this to me now has the look and feel of a dirty each way race about it, Mr. Groome.
It could be, yeah, definitely. You have the option there. The ground, as you mentioned, is interesting. Obviously, we're recording this on Sunday morning, so we're just trying to a bit of a guessing game at the ground. The Norwegians think there's about 6 mils between now and racing tomorrow, which is Monday. And as you said, yielding to soft on the hurdle course, softer on the chase course, soft yielding to places on the chase course. So a bit of a guessing game with that, but I don't think it's a massive factor in this race. I think obviously this race this kind of revolves around Blood Destiny, but I was just looking through the previous renewals of this race, and Triumph Hurdle horses, like just horses who've come back here after running in the Triumph Hurdle, don't have a great record. I got down to the last 10 years and a few of them were turned over, the likes of Icar Allen last year, odds on. I could see Blood Destiny going off odds on, but interestingly enough, like the horses that have ran in the Fred Winter, or the Boodles as it's called now, actually have a much better record here, and none of them, like a few of them, haven't won. So that brings in the old Takao there, and with the old handbrake left, Takao, yes, with the old handbrake left off him now. If you go back and watch the Boodles, he was going okay, and he made an absolute clanger at the third last. He kind of shunted down to his right, and I think Mark Watch basically accepted it from there. Kind of sat up on him and just let him come home in his own time. He was still going okay, so I'm actually prepared to write that run off. And if you take the opinion that he was campaigned with the Boodles in mind all season, we could just see a different animal here. He gets a bit of weight. No, he doesn't get a bit of weight, but at 5-1, as you say, each way option is there. And as I said, horses that have ran in the Boodles down the years come back have a much better record here than Triumph Hurdle horses. Blood Destiny, for all that he was really impressive at this course last time, and is actually still rated higher than Lossiemate. Ran a bit of a really shocker of a race in the Triumph. So I could see him going off odds on, but I probably wouldn't want to touch him at odds on, and probably take a chance on Takao each way.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned, obviously he was campaigning with the Boodles in mind. He ran off £5 higher than his, official mark in Ireland in the Boodles. Very keen in the race early, and it just, I don't know, I'm just not sure he's the most straightforward individual, Takao. He was very, very keen early on in the race. But I take your point, the record of horses, coming from the Triumph. I just think that the best piece of form on offer is a gust of wind by great pretender. You know, he's progressed from his 2 starts from Willie Mullins. So obviously he wasn't totally unfancied. He went off a single figure price at Leopardstown on his debut for Willie. I love the way he shaped in the Triumph. He's well over 2 miles and 2 furlongs on soft ground and out Doyle. So the ground isn't going to be an issue, even if it turns up a little bit softer. He stays quite well. Like the way he shaped, and I like the way he progressed from first to second run with Willie. He's obviously only having his 3rd start. He has form to reverse with Takao from that run at Leopardstown, so he has to finish. And if you make the point that Takao was being campaigned with the Boodles in mind, so maybe brings the 2 of those closer together. But Takao for me was never going to win the race. How hard he pulled Leary in the contest. Blood Destiny for me, tongue strap cheek pieces on for the first time. Won a couple of egg and spoon races around Fairyhouse. Is that a false rating? 143. I couldn't be banking that he's going to run to that sort of level of form. Gust to win for me at 100 to 30 now with Boylesports, I think is, as I'm looking at it, Sean O'Keefe on board. That to me looks solid. I can't see how he's out of the picture, and I'm willing to take the chance that he's going to finish ahead of Takao, who, let's not forget, Mr. Groome was one of our horses to follow at the start of the season. So interesting to see how that race goes. We're going to kick on running. We're going to come to you for the 3:15 at Fairyhouse. 22 runners. We'll have an extra place in Boylesports as well for this contest. Codaharla, certainly one to respect, ran well over the course. And I think it was a furlong less at Fairyhouse when last seen for Colin Murphy. That heads the betting at 6-1. Competitive. Have you picked a winner?
A much better betting race now, I must say, Basil. Here we've got lots of options, good value kind of there if you can find it. Codaharla, as you say, very interesting. I was there at Naas when he won, and won basically the egg and spoon race, as you said earlier. And that's what it was when he won at Naas, but he won doing handstands. He's got the boy Aidan Kelly on him, probably no better £7 claimer around at the moment. And second last time to Barry Connell's Lizer, who runs down in Cork. So there is he runs in Cork today. So if you're watching this, obviously check out how he's done. He's well fancied for the big race down in Cork today, the 2.5 miles down there. So he has to have a big chance. The one, there's a couple here I like Ottoman Style is very interesting there for Dermot McLaughlin. His form took a significant upgrade yesterday with Monbeg Park's run in the Rival Handicap Hurdle. Yeah, so that's a nice piece of form. He could be well handicapped off 129. But I'm going to go to one of my old friends here. Old Drop the Anchor here for Pat Fahey. Charlie O'Dwyer taking the £7 off him. I think this horse could be very, very well handicapped. Well, reasonably well handicapped. You take that he won the November handicap there, only in November on heavy ground, beat my mate Mozzie off a mark of 84. He's rated 93 on the flat now. So that was only 3 starts ago. He's back to a rating now of 133, which is only £2 higher than when he won the what was used to be the Pierce Hurdle. It's the Ladbrokes Hurdle now, I think, that takes place at the Dublin Racing Festival. So he's only £2 higher than that. Bit disappointing last time. He was second last at Naas, but I'm just going to write that run off and take it that Pat Fahey has him right for today. As I said, he's top class trainer Pat when he can target one at a big handicap like this. And Drop the Anchor has done me a few favours down things. So I would be hopeful of double figure price for him. Not sure Boyles have priced it up yet, but hopeful of something like that and take a chance on him each way. But definitely respect the likes of Codaharla and Ottoman Style. Those unexposed, that'll probably be towards the top of the market.
Well, Ronan Groome, you haven't left me much to say because they're the two I kind of liked in here. More so Ottoman Style, but just to pick up on your point about Drop the Anchor, that Naas run on heavy ground on the flat is, if you take that it was only 3 starts ago, and he's in total £9 higher now on the flat, and where he's actually come the opposite direction in his hurdles mark. 133 went off 143 and went off a single figure price at the Cheltenham Festival. When finishing down the field, in fairness, against Commander Fleet. So he could be on an attractive mark. But you mentioned Ottoman Style. I mean, this horse is on a hat-trick bid. He's only having his 10th start on Monday over under rules. So he's a 7-year-old. Dermot McLaughlin obviously had a big day on Easter Monday for the last 2 seasons. And, obviously Lord Lariat coming out of the big one is a disappointment there. But could be this could have a lively chance. It's a single figure price, 8-1 with Boylesports at the moment. And I just love that you mentioned the form with Monbeg Park yesterday. Obviously he's working out, but he won with his ears pricked at the line. He's only he's been raised 8 pounds. He's on a hat-trick bid. I think there could be more to come. He's certainly unexposed. And yeah, I think the ground and the trip, crucially, he's won on really testing ground in his last 2 starts. So even if it comes up that little bit softer, this horse will handle the ground, which is crucial, I think, as well. So Ottoman Style, there could be a lot more to come from him. And I think he won at Gorham Park off 115. I think he's still capable off his current mark. So yeah, he'd be the one I'd side with, Mr. Groome. Ottoman Style. Let's kick on. 350 at Fairyhouse is the next we're going to take a look at. It is, of course, a grade 2 over the smaller obstacles. Grade 2, the Ratbarry and Glenview Studs hurdle at 2 mile and 4 furlong the distance. Couple of old rogues in here.
Very much so, old rogues or lost soul. One of my colleagues, Tom Malone, would call this a race of lost chasing souls. It's a bit like that. You like Sylvesterian Furlonge, Master McGee, Beacon Edge, and old Monkfish, which we're very much looking forward to seeing how he gets on. 700 odd days off the track, but good to have him back. I'd imagine the idea is to get him a run over hurdles, to go back over fences at Punchestown. Just maybe that's what they're thinking. I don't know, or maybe go for the 3 mile grade 1, the stairs hurdle equivalent at Punchestown. But we'll see. It's a race I'm not overly keen on having a strong opinion. Phil Dorr, I could imagine he'd run solid enough again, but he has to concede weight to horses that are significantly very, very top class form over fences, like Sylvesterian Furlonge there. Probably with Townend riding him out of the Mullins pair is a fair shout, and he ran reasonably well when he was second to Somerville Boy on his recent run, so he's got a bit of fitness on side. Probably gun to head I'd go with him, but not a race now. I'd be probably honestly won't be playing in it, but it's all the steering for launch would get the vote for 5-cat purposes.
Yeah, well, Monkfish 713 days off the track, that'd be a big ask, wouldn't it? Danny on board. Paul has obviously gone with his steering, and like yourself, no real major strong opinion here whatsoever. You're taking a lot on trust that horses, run to form here. Phil Dorr obviously is giving away weight. He was, I thought, slightly disappointing at Cheltenham. He was one on the shortlist for the Coral Cup. Obviously, the big weight in that. He came back to his best form. Maybe 4-1 might be a little bit of value. But probably, as you mentioned, like Asterion Furlonge, for me, I thought he showed enough promise on his reappearance at Thurles to suggest that, 9-4 might be fair enough for him. Travel into the race, quite sweetly, jump well. That was 2 miles 7, so he's stepping back in trip to 2 miles and 4 furlongs here. That's going to suit. He's going the right way around. He'll handle the ground. He'd probably be the one a tentative selection, Mr. Groome, Asterion Furlonge, but like yourself, not a major opinion. A lot of eyes, as you mentioned, will be very much on Monkfish. He looks on ratings between the top 3 in the betting, Asterion, Monkfish, and Phil Dorr. Question is, which one do you? I'm going to stick my neck out. Asterion Furlonge, as you say, for 5-cast purposes. So onto the 420, just the 6 runners. But I like this as a betting race. This is competitive, even though there's just 6 runners in it. Easy game, real winning machine, Mr. Groome, on more over summer jumps. Lots of ones next to his name. Lots of egg and spoon races, as a phrase been used a couple of times on this podcast. Easy game. Question with him would be the ground. Obviously he's won on soft to heavy, but I just wonder, is he as effective on a softer surface? Easy game. He's 2-1 at the top of the market with Boylesports. Janadil going into Cheltenham, I would have made him a big player, especially when Allaho wasn't going for the race. Janadil for the Ryanair chase, I made him a big player. He was very disappointing. Question mark about it. Obviously he's a course and distance winner, but he was very disappointing, I thought. Didn't think he jumped with any fluency whatsoever in the Ryanair chase, so he was disappointing. French Dynamite, interesting. I'd say that was probably a career best from him, Ronan, in the Ryanair. Ran a massive race for a long time. Was only beaten 5 lengths in the wind-up. Question mark with him would be, he always seems to find 1 or 2 too good. He could be still progressing, though. He's only an 8-year-old still. The one I like is Magic Days in here for Henry de Bromhead. Now, obviously on ratings, she's a bit to find. She refused to race at Cheltenham, so she hasn't had a race, but I was impressed what she did on penultimate start at Naas, where she put away Dyna Blue. I thought snug enough. We were discussing it on the Road to Cheltenham Challenge. She's had 9 starts over fences. There still could be a little bit more to come from her. She's only a 7-year-old. We don't know how she would have finished at Cheltenham. She's 2 of her 3 chase starts or 2 of her 3 chase wins have been when she's going right-handed. She'll love any little bit more rain that's going to come for her. She's going to absolutely love it. She's obviously a point-to-point winner. Magic Days for me. She's getting plenty of weight here. In total, in terms of the weight from the first and second favourite, Magic Days is getting 12 pounds. That to me could be enough to swing it in her favour. Should she run her race? She's 8-1. She's a sound jumper, and if she got a freebie up front, she'd definitely be bang there, I think, in the finish. There does seem to be a bit of pace in this race as well, though, so maybe a slight concern. But 8-1, willing to take the chance.
Yeah, I don't know if that was out of character what she did at Cheltenham, because she's quite an exuberant kind of racer, isn't she? The question I had gone there was she'd be as good over the 2.5 miles? But it's interesting that they pursue with this kind of project with her. As you said, I don't think there's much to split the top 3. I guess it's a good template is to go back and look at this race last year, and they actually sent Janadil off odds on when he fell, and it kind of just, the race fell apart then for easy game. As I said, you wouldn't mind owning this beast. He just turns up and wins during the summer, and obviously won this race last year as well. I wouldn't be as worried about the ground. I think he handles it. It's fine. Probably, as you say, might be better on quick ground, but he's an ultimate professional. I do think Janda is interesting. I wonder, he was a real eye catcher, obviously, when he won. They said he was as big as a cow in the parade ring that day at Goran, and managed to come through and win, and may have bounced at Cheltenham. Would that be an excuse for him? I don't know, but it's just interesting that they priced him up. They really backed him for this race last season off the back of his good run in the Ryanair. Didn't get a chance to show it, though. I'm interested in him. Possibly think he might go off favourite here, edge it again. French Dynamite, as you say, I was getting a bit excited about him in the Ryanair. I didn't realise actually how well he'd run. In my head, he hadn't run as that bad. I went back to watch the race again there this morning. I was travelling very well into the straight and maybe just didn't see it out as thought he would. Still, as I said, probably could be a career best and could improve again. But I think he does need to find a bit to contend with these two. Gun to head, I go with Janadil. Just interested in him after they sent him off odds on in this race last season, and I think he's better than he showed at Cheltenham, so I take a chance on him.
Yeah, got to go Magic Days. I think one thing you did mention is they're pursuing the project of stepping up to 2.5. I think that's key. She's unexposed at the trip, and being a point-to-point graduate. I think Magic Days could find a little bit more improvement and getting 12 pounds. I think she's dangerous. So Magic Days for me in the 420. Let's kick on, Mr. Groome. It is the big one, the Boylesports Irish Grand National, 3 miles, 5 furlongs, 30 runners, and extra places with Boylesports.
Boylesports has it all. Money back meetings every day. UK and Irish racing live streaming. Extra places and money back all losers offers. And a bet 10 get 40 welcome offer. Boylesports, this is betting.
What way do you see it?
Yeah, it looks as competitive as ever. The Devils coachman there, top. I quite fancy Stumptown, I have to say. Just very interestingly handicapped now. Obviously, you get a penalty for this if you've won. So the likes of Angels, Dawn, Devils Coachman, Espinito, Bello, they all have to carry their actual weights. But because Stumptown just missed out in the Kim Muir to Angels, Dawn, he doesn't get penalised. So he's officially, it's a weird one really, because he just snuck into the race off his old mark of 100. His old mark's actually 133. He's officially a pound out of the handicap to run off 134, but his actual mark is 140, so he's £6 well in on his actual mark today, but they couldn't put that up because this is obviously an early closing race. So he's definitely, officially anyway, he's the most well-handicapped horse in the race. And if you look at his form, he's just jumping forward on his last 3 starts. He won a Thurles by 12 lengths, went over to Sandown, bolted up there. Probably just a little bit unlucky to bump into the well handicapped mare Angels Dawn. She'd fallen at the last in the Boylesports Grand National Trial down at Punchestown, or at the second last when she was going well. She's probably a well handicapped horse. She should be getting £2 off him, but she's actually has to concede £4 off him. So I think he can definitely reverse the form there. Looks like he wants this trip. I'd say the ground drying out a little bit probably would make more of a difference to him. I think the owners, talking to the owners on Friday, they think that his jumping improved with better ground, but he jumped fine at Cheltenham on soft ground. Do like him a lot. I have to say, trying to temper my enthusiasm, Basil, because it's such a competitive race. But I've backed them at 10s, and I see the good 9-1 with the good sponsors here with an extra place might make appeal as well. I do want to take a chance on another one at a bigger price. I like Chemical Energy, but I have a feeling you might like him as well, so I might let you jump in on him. But one of the huge price now, Gordon Elliott's Ash Tree Meadow. 7-year-old chaser here, very unexposed, no sort of form over this sort of trip, but he was he's fourth in a Galway plate. Huge run. That was just like his 4th or 5th start. Gordon tends to throw the kitchen sink at races like this, but and sometimes you can just get him running any sort of staying chaser. But this fella, he's having his first run back since he was campaigned earlier in the season, having his first run back now since October. So I wonder if they just kept him back for this. If they think he stay, and if he does stay, I think he's a well handicapped, unexposed type of horse that could progress significantly better than 145. So I just think he's interesting. He's a 33-1 shot. I think Dennis has been booked. So Sean Flanagan's been booked. It's 25-1 with Boylesports. I wouldn't put anyone off him. A few pound each way on him, but my main selection, I have to say, is Stumptown.
Yeah, very interesting, Mr. Groome. Just no, I'm not in the Chemical Energy camp for this particular race. I do like the horse, like him a lot. Massive run on probably, they say he's more effective on better ground. When the ground turned up soft at Cheltenham, he drifted like a barge pole and ran an absolute cracker. Was probably, was I'd have to see the betting in running. I'd say coming down to the last, he was after Mallow Mission came down, he was long odds on and running to win.
I'd say he idled. Did you think I just say he idled in front there and just did a bit of company or something?
Yeah, no, 100%. My issue with him would be how hard a race has he actually had in the National Hunt Chase. I mean, he was all out there at the finish. That was a grueler. So I wouldn't be inclined to get stuck on him on him again. The Devil's Coachman obviously was one of our horses to follow. I had him down as a Stayers Hurdle contender at the start of the year. If you ran in the Stayers Hurdle this season, to see the way the ground turned up on the Thursday, he would have won the Stayers Hurdle. Yeah. That's my view on it. But the Devil's Coachman, if he's on the premises, coming down to the last, this horse will stay all day. Obvious claims, £5 lower over the larger obstacles than his hurdles mark. But for me, I just wonder, early in the race, this is his first run in a big handicap, and he doesn't jump like a seasoned handicapper. He can be quite slow at his fences. Took him a while to really warm up down at Limerick. He was full value for the victory at the finish. So my worry with him is, will he jump well enough early in the race? I wouldn't be willing to take a single figure price on him. I actually think he's more effective over smaller obstacles than fences. That's my view on him. In a small 3, 4, 5 runner race, in a graded contest, I think you can pick up those over fences along the way. But a big handicap like the Irish Grand National, for me, I wouldn't be willing to take him at a single figure price. The one I like, we mentioned the National Hunt Chase. Tenzing finished 4th. Rule of the World won the English National as a maiden. This horse has never won over fences. Very likely race, very unexposed. Willie has won it with a 6-year-old, of course. The only time Mullins won the National, the Irish National, was with a 6-year-old, Burrow State, in 2019. Tenzing finished 4th in the National Hunt Chase. Noel McParlin rode him, and he wasn't knocked about. He's by Milan, a 6-year-old, big, strong horse that will stay, and he jumps. So, they're the two attributes you need for this race. He's in off 140. He was rated £3 higher by the British handicapper. I'd say he's better than that. It's how he handles the big handicap. field like the Irish National on his handicap debut would be the question. Looking at his temperament, looking at the way he goes through his races, for me, 14-1, Sean O'Keefe on board. That's more than fair for Chris Jones, who'd love an Irish National winner, of course. And just with him, I think with Mullins' horses at the price, Tenzing, I think he's very unexposed, and will love the conditions as well. So has won on soft to heavy ground, over hurdles, over 3 miles with his ears pricked, down in Cork last season. That was a sole victory on the racecourse. So he ticks a lot of boxes for it. The only question mark with him is, has he enough experience for a big handicap like this? I'm going to take the chance at 14-1, and I wouldn't have been actually surprised if Townend had a road. Obviously, he's gone for I Am Maximus, but who was also an eye catcher at Cheltenham.
Yeah.
The one, Ronan, I'm going to throw a second one in because you have as well, and it's also Gordon Elliott trained. You have to go back 10 years for the last 10-year-old winner of the Irish National. It was Liberty Council. We're not going to do pop quiz time here. Deafy Blue, Ronan, is a horse that he's a 10-year-old. He's obviously more exposed than the horses we've mentioned. He sneaks in off 10 stone 2. Gavin Broder will take £5 off. This is a very quirky individual. He's by Saddlemaker. On his last 2 starts, I've liked what he's shown on his last 2 starts. Over fences. He ran in that national trial at Punchestown. That he was a real eye catcher in that particular contest, and finished 5th in the Kim Muir when last seen. Once again, didn't think he had an overly hard race. Stayed on quite well. He was an eye catcher there again. Jumps well, will handle the ground, carries a light weight, and he's £6 lower over fences than he is over hurdles. I think he could be potentially well treated for Jigginstown, who always have one that'll run it well at a big price in the Irish National. So Deafy Blue for me at a big price for Gordon. But for me, my main selection will be Tenzing. I think it could be unexposed off 141. So that's anything else to mention before we wrap up on Irish National?
A quick shout. You mentioned the old I Am Maximus. Very interesting. Bought by the great man after his run in the Brown Advisory, and it's probably a bit of after timing now. You're always looking to see what he would have saw or what the McManus camp would have saw in that run, and he did catch the eye, obviously, with the way he finished out the Brown Advisory. First start at 3 miles. So I'd imagine the idea was to buy this horse to run in this race, and like the profile. So if he likes the profile, we should all like the profile as well. Nice run. Just looked last at one stage, slow jump down the back, and then picked his way through the field and stayed on. Looks like he'd be all over the sort of trip as well. 7-year-old unexposed. Very interesting as well. So he was on my short list. A quick shout for a horse in the 540. A horse called Irascible. Henry de Bromheim and Hugh Morgan. Hugh Morgan coming back off spate of terrible injuries. This fella's had a real bad... got injured there back in 2021 just after Cheltenham, and rode his first winner back at Clonmel on Thursday. So fair play to him. It's been a long road back, but he has a nice ride here, this Irascible. I think he's interesting. You might remember him. He's quite a handy novice hurdler at one stage, but only had 2 starts over fences, running over 2 miles last time, trying to take on Dysart Dynamo at Leopardstown. Was never going to be his bag. But prior to that, he'd been 5th to the Goffer down at Thurles, and that race has worked out quite well. I'll just pull him up here quickly. The Goffer, obviously a nice animal. Churchstone Warrior was 2nd. Indiana Jones has won since. From the Ashes was in behind them. Just a nice beginner's chase over 2.6 that ran out well. That was his debut over fences. I think he could be potentially very well handicapped here off 132. That's £6 lower than his hurdles mark. And 3 miles might just be the making of him as well. So keep an eye on him. Irascible for Henry de Bromheim and Hugh Morgan.
Yeah, just one or two to mention for me. Obviously, the Ballymore winner, 2024, runs in the bumper. Ballyburn. Looking forward to seeing him, of course.
I hadn't even looked at the bumper. Yeah, he's declared.
He's down. Yeah, well, Il Atlantique. And what I like in the novice handicap, we didn't mention the race, the 205 at Fairyhouse, is good old Tony Martin, good old Harvey's Brookie. Disappointing on his last 2 starts. Finished 2nd at Leopardstown off a mark of 110, Mr. Groome. second, that was at Christmas on St. Stephen's Day, has had a couple of runs over fences and disappointed since, but back over hurdles off 114, big festivals, Tony Martin. I think Brookie could be potentially well treated off that mark. So that's in the 205 at Fairyhouse. Can't wait to see Ballyburn. But they'd be two that I would mention for the weekend, or sorry, Monday, that we haven't already mentioned. So looking forward to it. It's going to be an absolute cracker. We're going to put in our 5-cast now. We want everyone to put their 5-cast in. We've with the free bets, of course, to draw next week from our last couple of episodes. We'll do that it'll probably be Wednesday when we put out our national video, Wednesday/Thursday. Looking forward to that. Chance to get involved once again for a free bet, €20 free bet, courtesy of the sponsors, Boylesports. So it's time to do the 5-cast, Ronan Groome. Here are the races. We're going to rattle through them here. Final selections, 240 at Fairyhouse on Easter Monday. I'm going with Gusta Wind. Who are you putting in?
Tekau for me.
And Tekau. Okay, 315 at Fairyhouse. It is the handicap that we did take a look at, the 315. Who are you putting in?
Drop the anchor.
Drop the anchor, Mr. Groome. I am going to put in Ottoman Style at 8-1 for Dermot McLaughlin. 350 at Fairyhouse, where lots of lost souls are running, Mr. Groome. Who are you putting in?
The lost soul of lost souls, Asterion for lunch.
Yeah, I would be with you. So Asterion for lunch for me as well. The 350 at Fairyhouse. 420. Good little race this. Easy game heads the market. I'm going to put in Magic Days at a big price, 8-1. Now with the sponsors, Boylesports, Mr. Groome. Who do you like?
It's Xanadil for me.
Xanadil. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to go with Tenzing to complete the 5-cast on Irish Grand National Day. Who are you putting in for your national selection?
It's going to be Stumptown for me. Best of luck to Jartehan and the Tralee-based Furs Bush Syndicate. They're all very excited about getting up to Fairyhouse for him, and I think he'll run a big race for them. Yeah,
best of luck. Hope you have a cracking Easter Monday. Happy Easter to all the listeners, and we'll be back very, very soon on the National Hunt Trail.
Inside the final 150 yards, this is a special pair, and it's a Hattons full of grace. And it's Energumene opening up a clear advantage in the closing stages. A breath of fresh air over fences is going to stay at the helm of the 2-mile novices. Energumene by
Boylesports has it all. Money back meetings every day. UK and Irish racing live streaming. Extra places and money back all losers offers. And a bet 10 get 40 welcome offer. Boylesports, this is bet.